Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. This is Velga, and in this video I have come to present to you a discovery that I have made, and along with the discovery also a question, and these two things combined together is actually a bit of a mundane thought that I have had. And this is a thing that I like to do. It's I don't know if you can call me a boring artist, because I seem to always just make art after deciding that the inspiration would be just something boring. It's just, I guess, lots of just boring things easily inspire me. And as you know from my channel, all the videos that you've watched of mine, you probably know that I am mainly a creature and character artist instead of an environment artist. Although, I must say, I have always had a tendency to be able to just draw organic shapes like trees and plants. Naturally, it just comes naturally to me. I feel like whenever I draw plants and trees, like no matter how random or messy or chaotic I draw them, as long as I put leaves on the end and they look like they're branching out, it will look like branches on a tree. You know, like I don't think anyone can fail at drawing trees and plants. And I've always been able to do that. As you can see here, it's very chaotic, but you can tell this is a tree. And this is a very old drawing, by the way. And here's another one. It's chaotic, it's all over the place, but I can tell that this is a tree. So I guess you can say that instead of an environment artist, I am more of a botanical artist. Like I can always seem to draw organic looking shapes, just like plants, like this. It's chaotic, it's all over the place, but the moment I put the organic shapes, let's say it's a tree or a plant, I put it somewhere on the ground with the foreground, with the background, and try to surround it with something like a normal environment. It would just fail. It will fail terribly, which is why I have for quite a long time just stuck to being a prop artist, which is just drawing these things up close, objects that are up close, but they're not really placed in an entire environment. So you can see the objects up close, you know what kind of details they should have, because I can draw them up close. And I guess you can say this is still life, you know, like prop artist, still life. These two, I guess you can call it the same thing. And here's another example. It's a staff, it's a magical staff of a bear's head on a stick. And this entire thing looks very organic looking, but yeah, I don't think I could have ever attached any of this into an actual environment. Let's say a character would be holding it, maybe I can do that, but I won't be able to make the character be placed in an environment. And there's always one theme that I liked to keep in mind, in the past at least, whenever I were to draw these things, these props or these still life objects, and that is just to try my best to make it look cool. I want to make it exciting. I want to have all sorts of detail in every little corner. I want every little thing to look absolutely cool, and I think it works well for making props or still life. I guess in this case it's actually this one's a weapon. It's a staff, it's a magical staff. I guess you can call this one a weapon. And I guess it works because the entire thing, of course, it looks cool. And here's another example. I call this one the ogre cleaver. This entire thing looks cool. Even the hand that's reaching out to grab the ogre cleaver handle. I think you call this thing the hilt. It looks cool. And it works very well, I think. Every little thing looks cool, and I tried my best to make it look cool. But for some reason, And this is actually environment art attempt that I made a long time ago. For some reason, if I were to put any of those objects in an entire environment, just like this one, it would just fail terribly. This is not working out. There's so much detail everywhere. There's supposed to be this cluster of mushrooms, giant ones, over here. There's supposed to be an enormous mushroom in the back as well. It's got lanterns hanging off of it. And there's supposed to be another giant lantern, a giant mushroom in the back, and it's got spikes on top of it. Very long time ago. And also this one failed. Look at what's in the picture though. There are just a bunch of trees. But the trees are kind of shaped in a very fun way, in a very, I guess you can say cool way. At least I attempted for it to look cool. And I don't know if this is the exact reason. I'm not an experienced environment artist. I'm just trying to be a good environment artist. But it seems like these cool shapes ruined the entire thing. And it just fails. But then I also have some artworks of mine from the past of environments that I think have succeeded fairly well, especially this one. I made this one for a game called J Dungeon. This was used for their loading screen and startup screen. And you could even say that the shapes in here are also too chaotic. But I think something about the colors I have chosen made it so that everything is kind of blended together nicely so that you can't notice all the chaotic mistakes that I have actually made. And if I were to make a fix today, this particular bush or tree looking thing, I wouldn't make it all that pointy all over the place. I would make it more rounded, or at least more even in shape. And also this thing right here, this green one, everything's green, but this light pale green one, it's a bit too chaotic right here. It's just too much. If I were to be able to fix it, I would just get rid of this entire thing, kind of like that. And as I was saying about this one, I could just remove it like this, and might as well make this one in the back look more evened and not so chaotic, although that might be too big. Okay, now that's looking much better. That one's rounded off, this one's rounded off. Maybe I could make this one also more rounded. I guess not everything has to be rounded, but for the sake of demonstrating what I have learned so far about environment art, here I am telling you about it. Maybe this one also doesn't have to be all that jagged all over the place. It could be more rounded looking, more flowing and organic, and more boring too, just like this. See that? Now let's do a before and after kind of comparison. This is after, and this one's before. So this is before, after. Before, after. Like, what do you think? I think the after one looks much better. It's more organic, and especially because this thing in the foreground here, I didn't even attempt to draw the grass at all. I just made a bunch of artsy looking messy strokes to imply that there's just supposed to be stuff there that I don't even want you to look at. And if you notice it, you would agree with me, okay, I guess the artist just doesn't want me to look at this thing because it's supposed to be just something there, but it's not even, like, the artist didn't even attempt to make that readable. So it's kind of forcing you to instead of looking here, you look here instead, because this is the only part of the picture that's bright. Like, it's a man in a raincoat walking with his dog. I made another successful one in the past too. This is a single tree. I think that's why it worked out quite well. It's because it's just one tree on top of this hill, and there's like a mountain range in the back. That's it. I think that's why it worked out well. And even though it's like a crazy looking, super towering tree, It's very simple, simply shaped. You know, I didn't go like all that crazy about the shape design. This looks fairly boring. I think it's why it worked out well. And also there's this one. This one's actually a bit of a failure in terms of the background. This was a commission piece I did for a client of mine, but I was blessed that this actually wasn't an environment piece that was requested. It was a character art piece, and the background isn't supposed to even be there, so I treated it like it was a background, you know? I painted it like it was a background, like there's just some stuff that's supposed to just be there, but like you can't really make out what it is you're looking at. So I focused on making the characters look good, and things in the foreground, again, things I'm good at, like these flowers, this bow, and this sword, because those are props, those are just objects. I can draw objects. I'm good at drawing objects, and what this entire commission is actually just a couple of characters sitting in the foreground, surrounded by a bunch of props right next to each other. And I would say the way I have treated this big vine in the corner here is also as if that itself was a prop instead of a piece of an environment. I think that's why it worked out well. Same goes for this vine over here in the corner, and also this blurry looking foliage. I just made like a couple of strokes using a weird brush that I had, and then I blurred it out with Gaussian blur. And because it's blurry, it kind of looks like it's there, but you're not looking at it because it's in the corner of your eye, which is why it's blurry. But yeah, I learned a lot from making this one, especially because the background, I think I tried to make it look too cool and it kind of failed. But luckily, it didn't fail all that hard. You might even still call this a success because the background is so vague, it's not even supposed to be there. Obviously, at least, it's supposed to just be treated like a vague background, which is what was requested of me by my client. This is another one of my newer ones. I think this one I can classify as a failure. At least when I look at it now from today's eyes, you know, like today's eyes of mind, after having learned so much about environment, having learned whatever I have learned about environment art, this kind of looks like a failure now because everything's just too chaotic looking. Everything's too random. There's this one that's going that way, and this other one is going this way, and then there's this thing that's going like that, and this thing's going like that. Everything's too chaotic. If I were to be able to fix it, then the simple version would be to have at least every single tree facing the same direction, kind of like that. Or if it's going to tilt more towards the right, I would start with a tree that looks like this and then slowly make everything kind of tilt, you know? Like there's a perspective there. Here's another one I could have improved so much if I didn't try to make every little thing here look overly cool. This is a giant tree I made myself, I designed myself, called the bush tree. It's the home where my fantasy people called the Green Scouts live. And I tried to make this tree look really cool, and so as well as the trees in the back and these trees in the back, every single thing has its own shape, and I tried to make everything look cool. I think I could have, I failed with this one, but I didn't fail all that hard because I think the colors I chose helped to make it not look too obvious, because everything in the back was bluish and pale, which is the proper color to use to imply things that are further away. And then the ones closer to us will be warmer and more obvious and more readable, because the color of this tree is green, which is what the color of leaves actually look like in real life. It's green. So it just looks like there's this big tree here, and then it's surrounded by a bunch of other things that you can't really tell what it is they are. I think that's why this kind of worked out. But let's just say I didn't make these trees in the back look all that blue and pale. I think this would have actually failed. I think this would have actually failed. This one's a giant tree concept that I made. This is just a blurry giant tree in the distance. I think it looks cool. But look what happened the moment I tried to make everything look cool again. I tried to add detail. It just failed horribly. This one's also chaotic, but I think it has a charm to it. And I think it's one of those pictures where you can tell the artist put in a lot of effort, even though they're not really good at thinking about what's supposed to look good. Like, they're not really good at doing environments, but a lot of effort was put into this. And there's just so much stuff, and it's so fun that, at least me, objectively speaking, not because I did this myself, but objectively speaking, I think this is actually quite a cute and fun, adventurous picture. It has that kind of energy so much that the lack of expertise doesn't bother me all that much. For example, there's this man here sitting in the giant tree trunk that's split open, and there's light coming from over there. And then there's this little stream falling out of the hole with animal eyes inside. Also, animal eyes can be seen here. This entire platform kind of looks like it's made out of a tree trunk, actually, that's been cut off on the top. And there are these mushroom monsters over here, and there are this giant tree trunk in the back that has a lot of fun colors, and these two giant vines that look like hands that's grabbing this one structure over here with a door in it. Kind of makes you think it can go all the way down here if you go through the door, like there are stairs leading below. And there's this fallen tree trunk serving as a bridge over here on the left. There's a silhouette of a tree on the left with more animal eyes on top, and the background is just more giant trees. And there's this bridge over here. It just looks like a lot of fun, like a fun type of picture. But again, I think I could have did so much better if I didn't try to make everything look so cool. This is another example of an environment piece that I tried to make cool. This is supposed to be like giant trees in the back, the ones that are dark and black in color. And then there's supposed to be lots of cracks on the ground in the foreground, and all the cracks eventually lead to the trees in the background. This just doesn't look good at all because it's too chaotic. And again, I tried to make everything look cool. Also, this is just a bunch of rocks that look too chaotic for it to make any sense. It doesn't make sense at all. Everything looks bad. And I think I figured something out when I drew this monster. This is actually the first time I drew a monster that is made of rocks. And each of these rocks is actually just recycled from this one rock in the center. Like, this one rock in the center is actually 90% the same as this one. The only difference would be this part right here. These two parts are different, but the top parts, they're actually the same. And I think I realized something here, that I think if I just tried to make everything kind of look samey, it would look good as an environment. Like, even though this is a monster, I think if I got rid of this golden head at the front, this could have been a cool Stonehenge type of structure. And then I have this one. This is my first attempt at making a forest that didn't look terrible. I tried to make a bunch of trees that... Okay, you know what? I'll just make sure this is not recording anymore, don't purge. So I tried to make a bunch of trees that all went the same direction, which is just pretty much up. There might be little tilts here and there, but can you tell how they are all mostly the same? And I really wanted something that sticks out, that stands out. So I treated myself to adding this one cool looking tree in the foreground here that has a lot of character. And I think it worked out fairly well. Like, I could have done better, but this could have been much better if I had more of the experience that I have today. And then we have this one. This one I did immediately after the art that I just showed you before this one. This one, I actually started by drawing this one, tree. And I didn't have any expectations, right? Like here. I didn't have any expectations at that point. But then I tried drawing a similar tree right next to it. And I thought, oh, these two trees look very similar. The only thing different about them is the other one on the right is a little bit thicker than the one on the left. But these two trees are pretty much doing the exact same thing. And then at this point, I kind of noticed there is an unintentional perspective that I have made here. And I thought I would lean into it by adding more trees around it that kind of made it even more evident that there is a perspective here, like this. See that? All the trees are kind of leading away from the center as if there is a perspective. I didn't plan for there to be any perspectives in this picture. But at this point, when there are two trees like this, I thought it would be cool if I were to just make all the trees on the left face away towards the left and make all the trees on the right. And I've ended up with this. And this is, I would say, the first time I've drawn a forest, an entire forest, and it just looked perfect. You can see there are two main trees in the foreground, and then it's got these little friends, just to not make it look like it really just is two trees, you know. I still wanted this to look like a forest. So I added a little bit more so that it won't look like just two lonely trees. Like, I didn't want you to think these two trees are some kind of special trees, which is why I didn't add any more trees around them, which is why I've added more trees around them. And to make it look even more like a forest, I added a bunch of little tiny branches here. See that? And then I added this canopy. And I think this really made it look like a legit forest now. I think it looks perfect. And what does this particular artwork have that the other ones that I made in the past did not? Well, I think this one is boring. The trees don't look all that special. It doesn't have all the crazy curves the older trees I drew in the past did. These are just boring old trees. And something about how this looks so boring, I think it just makes it work so well, and it looks amazing because of it. Then we have this one. This one's a commission work I did for a music app called Bardi. And I know this isn't a forest, but I drew this whole thing as if it was a forest. I drew this using perspective lines, which is this one. Hang on, let me just show you. There. This is what I did. I tried to imagine that this was a room, and then I added... Let me just disable the video recording. Okay, it's off. I tried adding these I guess you can call these sticks, that all faced one direction, which is towards a point somewhere in the bottom, like somewhere here, like somewhere down there. And after I did that, I turned all those sticks into stalactites and stalagmites. I think that is why this entire thing just looks so cool, because it all looks similar, everything is repetitive, placed in the right spots, although repetitive, and it looks boring, which is why it looks cool. Especially how I added this fire, this light source in the distance, something so mundane as like a fire makes the entire thing look fantastic. And something as simple as simply in opening the mouth of the cave leading outside, and you can't really see anything outside, it's just a light. It makes the entire thing look cool, because this is at its core just a boring picture. And this is an experiment of mine, an experiment I did, where I just thought, you know what, since I can draw a bunch of trees that look like they are all facing the same way, and it will look cool because it's boring, maybe I can make the trees giant trees instead, while doing the exact same thing, which is just making them do the same thing, and they all look the same. And I tried to find out if I could make something that looks very fantastical, high fantasy type stuff, by just doing the exact same thing. And you can see here, every single tree is just, it looks the same. They just look like sticks. And they're all facing up. Pretty much everything is facing that direction. Kind of tilted towards the left. And it looks cool. Again, the attempt was to just make a boring piece of environment art. And it worked out very well, in my opinion. And now we have come to this picture, this artwork that I have drawn and I am showing you today. I think once more, and I really do think that this might be the secret to making good environment art, but it could just be the simple attempt to make everything look boring. Everything looks just like trees. If I want to make it look cool, I can add another tree, or I can add another mound of dirt, or I could add another rock somewhere. It's not gonna look overly cool. It's just gonna be the same rock but slightly further away. Or it could be a third rock and it's a little bigger than the rest and it's placed somewhere else and it's doing the exact same thing. I think that might actually be the secret to drawing good environment art. And I have high aims. I want to be a fantastic, super good environment artist. And I would like to know if you're watching and if you are an environment artist, could you please let me know in the comments below if this really is the secret to making good environment art, by just making everything look boring. Because as you can see here with my character art, at least for me, I like to think that I have to make my characters look kind of extreme to an extent for me to even look at them as designs that are remotely interesting. You know, she's got green hair, she's got constricted pupils, this crazy looking golden necklace of hers, and she's got spots all over her. She's got these crazy spikes on her arms and spots on her legs too. The same goes for this character design, where it just looks like he is a plant golem of some kind. He's just a guy, again with the green hair, and he's surrounded by all sorts of plants. I think making this look extreme to an extent actually makes it look interesting for me. It could be much more interesting than this, but I think making it look very extreme at least for me, simply makes it kind of interesting. And for me to see a character design that looks very interesting, I would say the design needs to be extremely, extremely extreme, you know? Which is why I've been thinking, could that actually be the secret of making good environment art? By doing the exact opposite. Maybe that's actually the reason I've been struggling with environment for so long. Because I have been doing the exact opposite of boring, which is just to make everything look extreme and try my best to really push it so that it looks very interesting by making lots of cool shapes. Every little corner is another cool shape. But I guess that just doesn't apply to environments. Like, as you can see, the painting right here, it looks boring, but it works very well. And I happen to really like this kind of artwork where it just looks beautiful, it looks kind of mundane, and it can be used to tell a lot of stories. You don't really know what's going on here, but it's for sure atmospheric, and you can let your own mind wander and think about what could be happening in this scene right here, and let that sort of curiosity just build up and form your own opinion about what could be happening here in this scene. I think making that kind of artwork is actually very cool because it lets the viewers just try to figure things out on their own about what could be happening here. And I guess a really good use I could have, at least for me, for making pictures like this is I can possibly use it for something in the future because I do YouTube, you know. But yeah, let me know what you think about my theory to making good environment art, which is to make everything look boring. Let me know if you agree. Let me know if you are a pro environment artist or any environment artist that has already figured out all the secrets there is to figure out about environment art. So far, this one recipe of mine to just make everything look boring has been working out very well for me. You might be able to try it out for yourself, see what happens. It is the exact opposite of making character art, which is just to make everything look extremely attractive and interesting. I'm interested to know what you think. And that will be it for this video. Thanks a lot for watching and listening. I'll be seeing you in the next one.